Nach, Nachman, MayUman. Little basics about Nach. People want to know if Nach is so powerful, so they want to see. We'll say one time Nach, Nachman, MayUman, and that's it. There will be the holiest people in the world who overcome all the evil just by saying one time Nach, Nachman, MayUman. I like the idea, and there is some truth to it. Even one time saying Nach, Nachman, Nachman is really more than enough. So they want to know how come I say Nach, Nachman, Nachman, and I didn't see the end of the world as we know it. I didn't see a brand new, amazing world. So what should we expect, practically speaking, when we say Nach, Nachman, Nachman? What do we see happening? Because obviously every person, according to his holiness, that will affect the way he speaks, the impact of his words. When the person uses his mouth and his thoughts for bad things, so obviously what the other things that come out of his mouth and his thoughts aren't going to be so powerful. But practically speaking, for the regular, normal people of today, so what are they gonna what are they to expect by saying Nach, Nachman, Nachman? What's happening? So what I think is very basic to understanding what Nanach is we find that the people are saying Nanach. It builds their character, their personality. It gives them very strong conviction and self-identity. The Sabba Yisrael, Rabbi Yisrael Dov Odessa, who got the letter from Rabbi Nachman that was signed on Nachman, MayUman, Nachman. He said that Rabbi Nachman said, "I am Nachman, MayUman," and he continued saying over and over many times, "I am Nachman, MayUman," until the message got a little ambiguous. Maybe he's even saying of himself that he is Nach, Nachman, even though he started saying that Rabbi Nachman said I am Nach, Nachman. Many times he said I am Nach, Nachman, and he even said that the Hebrew word ani, I, is the acronym Nach, Nachman. And another time he said that the Hebrew word ani is the numerical value of Nach, Nachman. And this I explained different ways of understanding this in Likutei Nanach, in the book about Nanach. But the main thing that we take from this, I think, is that the identity of a person, ani, how a person sees himself and who he really is. Rabbi Nachman says the real person isn't his body. When Rabbi Nachman says in Likutei Nanach, ani is referring to his soul. So the real identity of a person is solidified by saying Nach, Nachman, Nachman. Basically, on a very simple level, because it's Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman is the tzaddik, the foundation of the world. The world is really just the souls of the souls, because everything that we experience in the world is just a matter of perception, right? And we see that today, like movies like The Matrix or whatever it's called. They could show you that it's everything is just happening in our minds. So the whole world is just what's happening in our souls. The soul is our mind. The Nishma Shakai Tivinim, Rabbi Nachman says, the soul is the mind. So when a person is attaching himself to the tzaddik, who's the soul that encompasses all the souls, is the root of all the souls. So his he's attaching himself to his true identity and to his connection to God. So he's building his character and his personality, his identity. Now, Rabbi that would be true. Just saying, any tzaddik, especially Rabbi Nachman, the chief, the head of all the tzaddikim, that this formula of Nach, Nachma, MayUman, the song, the single, double, triple, quadruple, which the Zohar talks about and stalls, and Rabbi Nachman in the Kutirman talks about the song that's single, double, triple, quadruple. And he says this is a song of Hashkacha, divine providence, of Plaot, wonders. Because really, the wonders of the divine providence are beyond mind boggling. Sometimes we see conspiracy theories, whether it's about vaccines or the virus or whatever the and if the conspiracy is true, it'd be pretty crazy, right? That everything that's going on in the world that's happening to billions of people with this virus is all the workings of a few people that have have are paying people off and all types of schemes. It's pretty crazy stuff, right? If it's true, it's not true, but it's a very minor level to the schemes that God is really running the world with. Really crazy stuff. What's really happening if we'd be privy to such knowledge? The Talmud says that even Moshe Rabbeinu, had was limited in how much was revealed to him of how Hashem is dealing to wicked people, good things and good things to wicked people, and bad things to good people. His tzaddik v'tov lo, tzaddik v'ra v'rasha v'tov lo. These are secrets of how Hashem runs the world. If they would be revealed, we wouldn't have free choice, because it would be clear to us exactly what's going on in the world, right? That everything is in measure for measure, it'd be so clear. It'd be like sticking your hand in the fire. You just don't do it. It's just clear to you. So Hashem conceals the depth of his schemes. He reveals some of it, and really that's our job in the world, to always reach higher levels of understanding of Hashem's dealings with us. That's what his bodilus is about, and that's what our whole life is about, because really our whole life, Rabbi Nachman says, we're always supposed to be seeing the remazim, the hints that Hashem is sending. Our whole life is a conversation with God. We're always trying to see, what does Hashem mean that he did this to me? Does he, not like the rabbis are saying today, terrible fake frauds that are saying that whenever something happens, go praise Hashem and dance for joy. God forbid. You have to understand that it's for good, and we bless God for the good. But only in the future we're gonna praise and sing for even for the bad, because it'll be clear to us that it's good. Now, when something bad happens, we bless God because we believe that it's for the good. But we have to examine it and try to understand what's the message, what's Hashem telling us. And Rabbi Nachman says that the hashgacha, the divine providence of seeing the measure for measure and having this conversation with God, is most evident in Israel, where the verse says that the eyes of God are in Israel. And for example, that's what they say, that in the weather forecast, if in the whole world it's 60% accurate or whatever it is, so in Israel it's 30% less. There's much more direct divine providence in Israel. The divine providence is exact in the whole world, but it's much more evident, and it's much more it's much more seen, right? So Rabbi Nachman says this song of the future, Nach, Nachman, the song of Hashkacha Prati, the song of providence, of divine providence, is is bringing the hashgacha, the providence of Hashem, much more to light, to experience. Just like in Israel, we see it much more, we experience it much more, we understand it much more. So this is what the song is about. It's elevating the whole world to this revelation of divine providence. Now, this goes hand in hand to what we were saying before, that Nanach builds a person's personality and his identity, because it's understood that every soul has his unique and his own way of understanding what's going on in the world, because Hashem shines his light, and what's his light? Everything that's happening in the whole world is happening in that person's soul. He sees it. He's a microcosm of the whole world. So, so these two things are really hand in hand. The more a person is seeing the divine providence in his life and in his soul and in his workings, so the more he's developing himself, the more he's solidifying his connection to God and who he is and what he's about. It's an amazing thing. So that's what's happening when we're singing Nach, Nachman, Nachman, and we're spreading it around. So it's not like boom. So now, before I said Nach, Nachman, Nachman, I wanted to eat 3,000 hamburgers. Who knows what? I was, God forbid, full of lust and ego and avarice and all types of vices. And then I said Nach, Nachman, and it all disappeared. No, when I said Nach, Nachman, I connected myself a little more to understanding what's going on with all these things that I desire and lust, and where did they apply to me? I'm in the epicenter of all these things. Where is my heart going? What am I about? Why do I desire this more than this? How do I connect stronger to the good in me? All these things start falling into place. What you're about, what you're lusting about, everything you're about becomes clearer, and you're building your identity and your strength of conviction, and you're seeing more the divine providence, how everything relates to you and to the world, and you're becoming stronger from this. This was happening when you're saying Nach, Nachman. This is the song of Ashkacha. This is the song of divine providence, and the more we spread this in the world, right? So we send Nanach a few thousand books to this country, to that country. So people are saying, "Woo, what's happening there?" They said they got Nanach there, so they're saved, or what's happening? What's happening is we're bringing the eyes of God to them, that they're gonna start seeing more and more how their lives are not just irrelevant or wanton. They see much more how every good they did is adds up, how the good is connected to them, how what's happening around them is exactly what pertains to them, and how to grow with it, how to solidify their connection to God with everything that's happening, with everything they're hearing and seeing, and to continue drawing themselves closer, because we know that what's special about Rabbi Nachman more than almost any of the tzaddikim ever is that the other very, very great tzaddikim, that they would help people by taking away the person's free choice. The person would come to the Baal Shem Tov, and he would cry and say, I'm overtaken by my evil inclination. I want to get close to Hashem. So the Baal Shem Tov would pray for him and elevate the person's soul instantly, and give him super spiritual perception, and elevate him, and the person would forget all about his evil inclination and start serving Hashem with all his heart and soul, because he got this tremendous boost. But basically had nothing to do with the person didn't overcome his his evil inclination. He didn't become stronger in his free choice. He just got this very strong boost of holiness that wasn't from him. So Rabbi Nachman said that if Hashem wanted to serve himself, just get extra free boosts, then he could do that. But he created the world that every person has their own test and their own purpose in the world to overcome these tests. That's what we're about. Every person is unique in his free choice, what is being tested on. Every person has their own challenges. That's what the person is really about. And Rabbi Nachman doesn't want to take away those challenges and just give the person, oh, you came to me and you said, Nach, Nachman, MayUman, boom. So now I'm going to make you an angel, and now you're going to be this holy tzaddik instantly. Rabbi Nachman says that God doesn't need to worship himself that way. Then God is doing everything. God put you in the world. You came to me. You said, Nach, Nachman, MayUman. I'm going to help you see a little better where you're standing. On one side you want to do this thing which is bad, and one side you want to do it's good, or even stronger conflicts of challenges person is tested with, where he doesn't even know what's really good for him and what's really bad, and he's in a dilemma and he's perplexed. So Ibn Nachman says, you say Nachman, when you're connecting to the tzaddik, so things become clear what it's about. He's helping you in your bechira, in your free choice. He's giving you the little strength inside. It's a little cheating, right? But things become a little clearer what it's about, who you're about. If you know a little better what you're really about, so then you could eat one less hamburger, watch one less movie. You don't need it so much because you know who you are. You don't need the extra. People really need encouragement. Rabbi Nachman himself said about great tzaddikim that if they would have had someone to encourage them a little, they could have leapt to tremendous heights. No one was there to encourage them. It's really crazy to have. You could have someone that's serving Hashem on a very high level, and he needs his wife, or he needs some student of his, or even a little kid, to say, "Oh, you're great, you're doing good work." It's pathetic, but unfortunately, it's true. Even with great tzaddikim, Rabbi Nachman said that little piece of encouragement, even from someone that is nothing compared to who this person is. Some little kid tells them, "Wow, you're doing a good job." That can really help them, and it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. A little touch, a little nudge, a little massage. Someone comes over to you and puts his hand on your back. I'm Shemer Negia, but for those, that's how it works. I see it's a very, very powerful thing. He puts his arm around you and gives you a little hug. It's very, very powerful, right? It's pathetic, but the fact is that it's very powerful. It really helps you. So when you say Nach, Nachman, you're giving yourself a little hug to the Shechina, to the divine providence, and you get a little clarity in your mind, a little who you are and what's ahead of you, what's your challenges, and the more we're spreading the Nanach in the world, the more we're spreading this understanding and revelation of the divine providence. And that's what Nachman said. The Mashiach is going to sing the song. This is. We're all singing the song already, Baruch Hashem, Nanach, Nachman. But the more we're singing it, and Mashiach's really gonna sing it, and everything's gonna fall, even things that Moshe Rabbeinu was not privy to see, how good things are happening to bad people and bad things are happening to good people. Even things like that are gonna start becoming obvious, the workings of Hashem. And this is, Rabbi Nachman says, this is plaot, then it is. Because if you have someone very holy and something bad is happening to him, chances are that if you would understand why, you'd be mind-boggled it'd be mind-boggling to understand the workings of God, how what brought this about. If it's because he's a Gilgul, he's the reincarnation, and it'd be amazing, right, to see in front of your eyes this holy tzaddik and see his reincarnations and what he did in previous lives and how exactly everything is working out, and to see that on a global level, how he's interacting with his friends, who his friends are, how it relates to everything they did that day and all of history, how it all comes together is going to be, it is, and the more we're going to see how it's going to be revealed. And that's all happening when we say Nach, Nachman, and it goes hand in hand, like we said, with finding out who you are. And the more you find out who you are, the more you're connected to God, the more you're understanding what's happening to you, because everything that's happening to you is connected to who you are. And this is what you should be expecting when you say Nach Nachman. Occasionally, since it is the name of the tzaddik and it is tremendous divine providence, there's straight out miracles. There's already books written recounting miracles just by saying Nach Nachman, finding things that you're missing, starting cars that couldn't get started, get bringing people, finding missing relatives, saving people's lives, just getting places, all types of big miracles, and they're going to be greater miracles. It's just a tip, but the root is what Saba said. The Nanach is miracles dressed in nature. What does that mean? It means that because there is no real nature, nature is just a facade for it's an aggregate facade of the hidden divine providence underneath it, which is really, happening. Like we said in the mashal, a parable, if you throw a stone into a pond, so there's ripples that go out, and if a person was photographing, he videos this event that you threw a stone into the water, and the stone doesn't come up in the film. If that would happen, so you just see at D time, from the inception, all of a sudden ripples happen, and then the scientists will examine the film and they'll explain why the ripples happen this way and that way, and they'll come up with our formulae that if a ripple goes out 2 degrees to the east, it will cause zero point 0.3 times pi to the diameter in the other direction, and they'll come up with formulae, and it'll all be good and true because it'll be explaining what was manifested before them. It will explain the empirical findings of the experiment, that when you have a ripple over there, it will cause this, and it will cause that effect, and it will accelerate. All the physics still be there. But if you have the special film and you see that the stone hit the water, you'll tell all the physics people, all the professors, you say, very nice formula that you have. It's true on some level. Yeah, you could waste your life making all your formulae and explaining what you see. Yeah, you see, but thank God I see the stone. a stone, a stone. I saw the stone that went in, and from that you have all your ripples, and you can make all your formula. But I know that the stone caused all the ripples. Boom, straight up, and that was, the Zohar says, that was the what Moshe Rabbeinu was so much higher than King Solomon, the Shlomo HaMelech. It says in the verse that Shlomo HaMelech was the wisest of all men, and our sages said even more than Moshe Rabbeinu. And so the question is, how could he be more wise than Moshe Rabbeinu, who received the whole Torah, which includes all the wisdom in it, all the wisdom in the world from every level is in the Torah. So how could Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, be more wise than Moshe Rabbeinu? So the Zohar says that the wisdoms that Shlomo was more, King Shlomo, Shlomo Melech was more wise than Moshe Rabbeinu, were wisdoms of the lower worlds that Moshe Rabbeinu he wasn't even interested in looking there. If he would have looked there, he could have figured it out. Maybe, why should he understand how the ripples go this way and that way? Even though you could build great inventions, if you're an expert in understanding the formula of the ripples, then you could use it to your advantage. You could understand that if it happens, you make it. You could build microwaves, and you could fax machines and 3D printers. You could do all types of things because you understand on the very lowest levels how things are happening. You see how it's manifested. But if you saw the stone, so you could say, well, maybe let me study the ripples and I can make microwaves and cell phones, or maybe I could get to the power of the stone and have the power of life itself, and have the ability to master everything from the root. And this is what Nach is doing. We're taking the wisdom of what's the workings of the world on the lowest levels, and we're saying bring it to the source so that we can see what's really happening here. Okay, there's all types of formula and all types of small-minded things happening, that you could spend lifetimes trying to see what's happening on the lower levels, but we want to go to the root, to what's really happening, what's really propelling, and what's the real impetus, what's the real force behind our lives. And the more we get there, more we get to the unity of the world, to the driving force of God, and the more that radiates directly into our souls, and the more we're empowered by God Himself, and the more we see how everything is reflected directly in our souls, is reflecting God in the world, in our souls. This is what we're seeing when we're singing Nach, Nachman. Uh, this is something that I consider very basic. I wanted to share with you. I was intimidated because there's so much to say, and every point that I said here there's so much more to elaborate, because the person on every point, for example, that the word ani, Nachman says in the Kutei Moran, was 73, that it's prayer. The Aleph is the tzaddik, the Nun is the Malchus, the Yud is the Machshava, and really, Rabbi Nachman says at the beginning of the Kutei Moran, one of the first Torahs, that a person is Torah, every letter of the Torah is a soul, and when a person prays, he brings his soul in the prayer. The prayer becomes pregnant with his soul, and he's born anew through the prayer. And this is exactly what's happening when we're saying Nanach. The whole we're bringing our identity, we're bringing it into pregnancy, and we're giving birth. This is a new song. It's called Shir Chadash, the new song, because Hashem runs the world completely new every second. It's a new world, right? Every second is a new, and it's all happening in our souls. Our souls are renewed in the light of Hashem, and this is happening. This is the new song, and this is the hashgacha, the providence that's happening in our souls, and it's all happening with Ani, which is the vessel of the prayer. And this is the song of prayer, the 10 types of songs that we're praising Hashem. So just to explain that would take a long time, so I almost didn't start, but I said let's put something down, some basics, and Baruch Hashem, we did some basics. Nach, Nachman, Nachman. Nach.